To Facebook, the platform is struggling with its cryptocurrency Libra as backers withdraw from the association. Yahoo Finance's Brian Chung sat down with the co-founder of Libra last night and joins me now from Washington, D.C. to discuss. Brian.
Hi, Kiko. So we're here at the International Monetary Fund annual meeting here in Washington, D.C. David Marcus, again, the head of the Libra project, that is the cryptocurrency blockchain network that Facebook is developing right now, has been doing the rounds and meeting with international regulators and also central bankers to talk about next steps for the project. But I asked him, amid all the regulatory questions and broader concerns about Facebook, about whether or not they can still hit their target timeline for launch of the first half of next year. Here's what he had to say.
Well, so this is something that I want to talk about a bit, because I think it's really helpful, and this is something that I've used all of my life as an entrepreneur and building product. It's always good to have an ambitious timeline that becomes like an external forcing function for everyone. So the goal is still 2020, but again, I want to reiterate, and I believe that all my fellow members have, agree with that, and the Libra Association agrees with that, no one wants to move forward with this unless it receives the proper regulatory approval and that we've addressed all legitimate concerns from key stakeholders around the world. So we have a lot of work to do, and we want to do this the right way. And we've wanted to do this the right way from the beginning. That's why we announced it so early, and we spent a lot of time pre-briefing a lot of key stakeholders and regulators around the world before we made the announcement, and have continued doing that. And now, since yesterday, finally, we're going to be able to engage on behalf of everyone with one association that will continue getting stronger and have the appropriate staff to do all of this work.
Well, as you mentioned, it's not easy though. So
big change is never easy, but it's worth it.
So David Marcus saying right there that the 2020 deadline is an ambitious goal for him. One of the reasons why that is ambitious is because there's so many regulatory issues with Libra, one of them being whether or not it could be systemic. Consider that the Facebook platform has over 2.7 or about 2.7 billion users, 90 million businesses use it for commerce. So there's some worry, especially voiced by the Federal Reserve, that this could be of systemic risk. David Marcus saying for Libra's part that they hope to design it in such a way where it never gets systemic. So Akiko, a lot to watch out for there.
Yeah, Brian, it's interesting. David Marcus there is also kind of repeating what we heard from Mark Zuckerberg in the leaked audio that came out from the meeting, or internal meeting, where they essentially said, look, we wanted to release it early to get the, to kind of get the feedback and see where things are going. But I'm wondering if the backlash that they have received since has really gone beyond what they had initially anticipated.
Yeah, well, the question really is about what types of discussions he's having with regulators behind closed doors. Keep in mind that he's been trying to do the rounds as they've gotten further on this project and trying to get the proper regulatory approval. And he said they won't launch until they have that regulatory approval. But what we don't know is to what extent regulators have required them to put certain measures in place or show the types of compliance that they'll be able to have as part of their system before they launch. Keep in mind that as far as right now, Libra is still just a concept. It's not anything that's been put into practice for right now. And David Marcus was telling me that at the end of the day, they feel like they have an obligation to create this technology because of the fact that the commerce platform is so large that they feel like their scale actually makes them obligated to create this sort of technology. So interesting to see David Marcus kind of double down despite the concerns that we've not only seen from regulators, but from even those within the Libra project, because Visa, MasterCard, and PayPal, some of the big names that have since dropped from the project. But David Marcus saying our game plan is still to get to 100 members by the time they launch, whenever that ends up being. And they said that they already have a queue of about 180 members that have already received preliminary approval for membership. So he said that it shouldn't be a problem at all replacing them.
Okay, hasn't shaken their confidence at least yet. Thanks so much for that, Brian.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.